Got it?
Hi. So here we are. This is Healing with the Blues, and I have my good friend Tony Brown with me today. He is an amazing griot. Basically, he's a storyteller and he works in all genres of music, but basically, roots music and blues is a big part of his life. And so I really wanted to make sure that we talk to him and you get this sense of what we're about in Healing with the Blues. And Tony really represents that so well. So, Tony, thank you so much for being with me today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Tanya.
And when you started to talk to me just now about how you came to blues music, and can you just start talking about that a little
Oh,
bit?
okay. Well, originally it was called folks music because they didn't call it blues yet.
Right.
It was, and also was the captions of survival and life on the plantations prior to them giving it a title. It was just folks music.
Hmm.
My grandfather was on a plantation. His grandma, there was a history went blank. Um, he was on that plantation until his grandma died, and then the night she died, they were kicked off the plantation, and so all the kids and all the family had to leave on that night. So um, all the people had music. They played banjo, juice harp, harmonica, uh, a, a bucket with a string on it. They
Hmm.
even had the dog sing. When they sang, the dogs,
That's
oh,
like our dog does that
well,
too.
everybody was singing. Little babies couldn't even say words yet. Everybody was singing. That was the jubilation of healing.
Mm.
That was the force, the positive force with no name that went inside you and created the energy for you to forget what the dilemma or the circumstances of your life was and only enjoy that power. It
Mm.
was Divine Force by melodic,
Absolutely.
rhythmic combinations of people with the expression of spirit. So um,
Yeah.
when I was um, my cousin Laverne Van Arsdale, when lived in Waterloo, actually, let me go back here. My grandfather hoboed and walked all the way from Virginia, West Virginia, to Iowa.
Oh my goodness.
On the way there, he joined and worked with the Black Vaudeville circuit.
Hmm.
And he was into animal husbandry. He knew how to shoe horses. He knew how to train horses and all that. And that got him to a certain geographic location. And from that point, he broke away from that and he headed west by northwest and ended up in St. Louis, Missouri, where he met a young woman who was a Baptist minister's daughter, and their last name was Brown. So the Van Arsdale family and the Brown family got together and they eloped
Yeah.
because they couldn't get married because he didn't have a job and he was just going from odd job to odd job.
Hmm.
And he could sing and he could make money. He could make money singing his tunes and telling the stories about his life that far.
Mm.
And they ended up living in Buxton, Iowa.
No kidding.
And they were some of the original folks in Buxton, Iowa. And in this area, a lot of the songs and a lot of the tradition and stories were not, it was okay if you're drinking a little bit, or you
Right.
tell stories, and people didn't know whether you were lying or not. But if you
Right.
started singing those stories, then the spirit became manifested again and
Hmm.
energized, and it went into people. So telling the stories was entertainment.
Hmm.
Singing the songs and tales about the story was spiritual.
It's so true. I mean, as I often hear, music is a spiritual experience. The music business is not, but
No,
music
no.
is.
That's why I
So,
just disassociate with that.
right, right, and a lot of musicians do because it takes the spirit out of it. And what we're seeing when we perform, and you've seen this too, is people have healing experiences all the time when we're
all the
performing
time.
because the vibration, it gets
Yeah.
into you and it can't get out, and you've got to express it somehow.
When the source becomes part of the experience,
Yes.
then the experience becomes part of the source.
Source with a capital S.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
So when I
exactly.
was 5 years old, my cousin Babe, Laverne Bernard, still was living in Waterloo, Iowa, got a guitar. See, my mama always sang. She always sang. And my grandfather would only sing, but you had to bribe him or you had to do something. He was the guy. He,
You had to
he,
pay for it.
he was all, yeah, but he had done it, well, 16 kids later, and how many other grandkids, you know? So by the time I came along, he was my roommate until I was in college. We
Oh
shared
my
the same room.
goodness.
And so I got all these stories and stuff and all
Sure.
these songs.
Yes.
And I got all these songs. I do them when I work with kids a lot because uh, they're they're that way. But my cousin Babe got a guitar, and a mama bought me a guitar. I was 5 years old, and she got me a Stella acoustic guitar, and I only could play like two or three songs. I got, excuse the expression, I got pissed off at the guitar, so I left it outdoors, and so she went and got it and took it down to the music corner.
That is such a typical
I got
guitarist
real
story,
upset with that
people.
damn
Just so
guitar.
you know, there isn't one guitarist that doesn't identify with that.
That guitar player was not doing what I wanted it to do. I was, I was
Oh my
pissed off at it.
gosh.
And she took it down to the music store, music corner, and had it repaired. And she never told me about it. And I didn't find out about it until after she died. That
No
that's
kidding.
that guitar, that same guitar was at that music center.
Wow.
You know. And anyway, it came around, went gone around, and so one of the first people that my cousin taught me how to play besides Ray Charles. What I say, do 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 do. Tell me what I said. Tell me what I said. So that was, that was the crossover between gospel and blues for me.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the first person he taught me how to play was Lightning Hopkins. I grew up playing Lightning Hopkins my whole life, and Robert
Like the
Johnson.
entire life.
Then
Yes.
my grandfather became the Grand Exalted Ruler of the Elks Club in Waterloo. The Elks Club sponsored music every weekend.
Oh, and you
Yeah,
guys had the most amazing
Count Basie,
performers coming through.
Ella Fitzgerald, Lightning Hopkins, Howlin' Wolf. Um, every black artist that played in Chicago played
Wow.
in Waterloo, Iowa. Little Stevie Wonder, the Impressions, um, all the blues guys, all of them. I came home. I tell this story so many times. I came home one day from grade school, and there's this big black guy with a scarf on his head, huge black guy with a scarf on his head, big diamond ring, eating a steak at our dining room table. And I thought it was my mama got a new boyfriend. His mama got a new boyfriend. Oh, here we go again. Anyway, and my sister said, "Get over here. You don't know who that is?" And I said, "No. Who is that?" He goes, "You lost my thrill on Blueberry." I said, "Fats Domino? That's Fats Domino in our house." And it was Fats Domino
Oh my
in our
goodness.
house eating there. And then another time I was outdoors and there was this big guy. Hey, boy, come here. Where
Oh,
can where can I
sounds
get
like
the
Howlin'
ticket?
Wolf to me.
It was Wolf. It was Wolf. It was Wolf. Hey, where can you get some liquor around here? I said, well, the pool hall's right over there, sir, because we live right across the street from the pool hall, and the Elks Club was 1 block away, sat on top of Shillham Street Hill.
So you have been steeped in this from the time
For
that
my
you were a
whole
baby.
life, from
Yeah.
when I was in the crib,
Hmm.
my cousin came back from Korea, and he bought a stereo, a Magnavox stereo, and that thing was played 24 hours a day until the news came on at night, or unless the fights came on, or
Hmm.
sports events. But
Hmm.
otherwise, that was the room I stayed in my crib all day, and Mama's in the kitchen singing, and then my
Hmm.
aunts and uncles and my grandfather start. So I was getting this. I was being
Music all
plummeted.
over. Yeah.
It was just like, this is your culture, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, um,
Yeah.
and my Uncle Ernest, he's the one that got all the folk songs. He
Mm-hmm.
got all the folk songs. That little Ford, pretty little Ford, cute little Ford. You ever did see Ford on the wheels on the ground. Indian Ford made the wheels go round on this seat. The well little girl, the pretty little girl. You ever see girl on the seat on the Ford, Ford on the wheels on the ground, the engine the Ford, and it goes on and on and on.
Oh yeah, it goes on forever.
And I found out when I was sub-teen that this was a memory song. This
Yes.
was to make
Yes, I remember growing up listening to Odetta sing a memory
memory
song.
songs.
Yes, because you had to
That's
repeat everything until you kept
oh,
adding on and you'd have to repeat the whole thing. Yeah,
another thing it is, it's the power of concentration and focus.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
when you're given this, like I used to do it in daycare. I
Hmm.
was the one of the coordinators for 4C Daycare Center in Madison.
Right.
And I'd have all these little stinky kids come in the morning, and mama, it was for people who were impoverished. And so you got all these kids crying and stuff. So
Right.
I get their diapers changed and feed them, and then I do all these silly songs. And
It's
they come
enthralling for a child to hear that.
they come in, Tanya, and start singing them songs. After a while, when they got there, they would start singing them songs, so they remembered them.
Isn't
So
that
that's
something?
how blues. That's how it became beyond absorbed. Beyond it was a part of me so much that I didn't even like any other music. I mean, I like jazz too because I grew up in jazz.
Right,
I
right.
grew up in jazz, blues, and and calypso and
Yes.
African music. That's what I
Right.
grew up in. Then
Yeah.
R&B came along, and then
Yeah.
that's another facet
Right.
of life.
Right.
So,
So when people say, because people always say to me, blues, and I've heard it so much, blues is a healer, and I know what it means to me. I mean, it means like what you were saying, you're inviting source in. You're inviting source in because that's what the healer is when you're doing that vibration. But how do you experience that? What does it
well,
mean to you?
well, the thing is that if you realize that what you're doing is creating the essence of heaven in
Mm,
creating the music that
yeah.
you feel, uh, I mean, James Brown would get so much in his music, and maybe it was a vaudeville, but he'd
Right.
drop down on the floor and
Hmm.
he'd just be singing, and the only word he was saying was please, 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 and you feel that.
Hmm.
So with me, that is divine
Mm,
to create such a emotional, cathartic,
mm,
gravitational pull to
hmm.
people that they start singing or gyrating to the songs that you sing is spiritual.
It is. It is.
So if it's spiritual, that means that it's healing.
Yep. That's
It's
right.
not just affecting you, it's having an effect. It's not just affecting you, it's having an effect on you.
Yeah, that is so true. When I sing "Drown in My Own Tears" and
Oh
I
Lord.
and I I remember the feeling because I like to pick songs where I can identify with the situation. And I've had that situation where I thought, okay, this is the end. This is where it happens. This is where I drown in my own tears. This is where it's so sad I can't get out of it. And I sing that song, and it feels like every time I sing it, I'm removing another layer of that sadness that happened.
Yeah,
It's just going off into the ether.
yeah. You know
It's a
what Furry
beautiful
Lewis told me? I was
thing.
on tour with Furry Lewis. If you have a promo package, you can see how many people I've been on tour with.
Yeah, well, okay, so let
Walk,
me just say
walk.
this to our audience. Tony has played with everyone that you can think of. If you can think of an artist, he has played with them. So don't even worry about it.
Furry Lewis told me. He said, "You know, you got to be dirty first to get clean.
Mm,
You can't just be clean and be clean."
amen.
And he said, "So music is water." And I said, "What does She's trying to. I know he's trying to jive me. He's trying to get me to go get him. His wife already told me, don't let him drink. Don't let him drink. And let me tell you this, boy. Stand there. Get close. I can't see. I can't see very good. So, water is music. If you're dirty, you got to go stand in the water to get clean.
Wade in the water.
And you say you don't need no soap. You just got to hang out in that water long enough that water wash you clean.
Man, it's the truth too, though. You
He's
know, you
got-
see people when we started that show the other night. Ed and I were doing, and it was a lot of different musicians. But by the time we got on stage, people were like ready. And then Gloria Hardman came out, and she's like, "Everybody stand up!" And boy, man, they stood right up. They were ready, ready. So
That's power.
yeah,
That is. I mean, it's just like we're talking about. The hibiscus.
hmm
The
yeah. By the way, people notice the paintings behind Tony. He's also a painter and an artist in visual medium as well.
beauty of the flower you walk by sticks with you forever.
Hmm
The spirit conveyed by the musician, especially a musician who's talking about something cathartic, something emotional, some experience they've had in their life, that's angelic to be able to transfer those emotions through sound and rhythm into someone else's body.
Yeah.
And then, after getting their body, to put it in their mind.
It is magic. I mean, if
That's
we're
the
going to
magic.
talk about magic, it's magic.
How can a sad song, some of those sad songs are so positive emotion, but the words are just so sad. My baby left me, I ain't got nobody to call my own. But it makes you identify with one thing that in Buddhism they say that the world will not ever run out of, and that's suffering.
That's right.
If
This is a
we
hard place.
if we learn that we all mutually experience and get affected by suffering, and then you hear somebody tell about their tale, that's the blues.
I'm telling you, I've heard this so many times too, and I want to just underscore what you said. One of the first interviews I did was somebody you know very well, was your son-in-law, Kevin Burt. And I said, "What does healing with the blues mean to you?" He goes, "Somebody else has had my experience, and I can join them in this, and I am not alone."
Mhm.
It's a
Well,
beautiful thing.
yeah, I mean it's the ancestry. It's like the Indians have a saying about the earth.
Hmm
Just imagine in your mind how many feet have walked on this soil. And you don't know if they came or went the same direction you did. But we share this in common.
Yeah.
And the blues is like a medicine with no bottle. It doesn't have dimensions. It doesn't have a flavor. It doesn't have a color. It is a semblance, a balance of sound and rhythm conveyed with words from experiences. So the healing is, you don't have to have a prescription to get it.
Mm-mm.
And you can go to the dumbest person you know, and they can give you a full dose. You know,
Oh yeah.
sitting on the corner.
Oh yeah.
Oh Lord, 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 Lord.
Everything's gonna be all right
It's
this
like I
morning.
said, the same thing about. See, dogs have always something about a dog and a rooster have always been involved with blues.
That is
Rooster
true.
wakes you up in the morning and is always making noise, giving the chickens, giving all the hens troubles. Rooster's always the dog's the one that's just mastered and signed, tied him up to the clothesline overnight. He's out there, oh,
Hmm
and all the other dogs in the neighborhood hear that dog go, oh, and all of a sudden you got 8 dogs in the neighborhood, oh, that's the blues.
I'm stuck here at the end of this rope. I can't go nowhere.
Ain't going nowhere. I can get to my bone.
Oh
All
gosh, I think we're writing a song right now, the Doggone
I
Blues. All
got's a
right.
water dish.
Oh my God, and it's empty too.
And That's wonderful, Tony. All I got's a water dish and it's empty too. Oh Lord.
I've been down so long, it looks like up to me.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
I've
tell
been
you,
down
I
so
really
long. I've been
appreciate
down so long. I had to look up to get my shoes.
this. That's low.
Like there's
That's
my
low.
shoes up there.
And it's interesting too, because I've asked people this, and I was talking to, I wish I could remember his name right now. He's passed on, but he was Buddy Guy's drummer for years. And we were backstage with him, and I said, I keep getting this feeling that I need to do this song. Why am I treated so bad? By Pop Staples.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, but I'm concerned that I'm singing it. I don't know that people will accept it. He goes, if you're feeling it, you have to sing it. You have to.
Well,
And, we've all had the blues at some point or other. It doesn't matter who you are or what you look like. You've had the blues.
well,
And
Lightning said the same thing. Lightning said,
yeah.
Lightning said, you know what, boy? See, everybody closes their eyes. Everybody else is black. It's only
That's
when
how
you
I
open,
feel.
it's only when you open your eyes up you start defining what color somebody is, and
Yeah.
it ain't necessary to know that.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I was talking to my friend Jim, and who is a Latin jazz percussionist, and I said, "How does a girl from New Jersey and a guy from Iowa get involved in the blues and in Latin jazz?" He's like, "I don't know." I said, "Because it's so universal. It doesn't matter. It just where you come from. It matters what's in your heart, what's
Yeah.
in your soul." And the first time I heard Muddy Waters sing, "Oh yeah," I was like, "Oh, what
That's
is
it.
this? What is this?" Oh yeah. I'm like, "I got this. I got this. Whatever this
Well,
is, I've got it."
I grew up in Waterloo,
Mhm.
and everybody at a point in my life, we used to the teenagers when I was not a teenager. I was an adolescent, as they call it. The teenagers would stand across the street from our house on the corner across from Ross Store on the corner of Mobile and Shillham Street, across from Pete's Pool Hall, across from the Methodist Church, and they would stand on the corner and harmonize.
Mhm.
And then out of the bar, these older guys would come. Them boys, them young, they don't know how to sing no song. Miller, come out here. Miller, go over there and teach them boys how to sing a song. And there was a man named Miller Scott. He was a living twin of Howlin' Wolf.
No kidding.
He
Wow.
knew every Howlin' Wolf song. And he said he knows Howlin' Wolf song. He thought Howlin' Wolf stole them songs for him when he was drunk one night.
Yeah, I've heard that about Willie Dixon too.
Is that
Like,
how
well,
about
it says Willie Dixon wrote it, but he probably stole it from somebody else.
so here all of a sudden these young boys, these teenagers, would see this big black man who could shake your
Yeah.
hand and your hand would disappear inside his hand. That's how
Yes.
big his hand. And he'd
Mm.
come over there and go, oh Lord, oh Lord. Oh, good Lord. Jesus, 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 Jesus. Oh, Lord. And them boys would back up, say, oh, no, here comes Mr. Miller. And he would
Oh
be
my
so
goodness.
blasted. He would be so blasted. He would just do sounds. And all those, but the thing was, he would, you know, oh, I was intelligent, Lord, 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 Lord. And all these young boys would start clapping with him and stuff and get him riled
Right.
and get him riled up. And then he started using words.
Uh-oh.
He started talking about, my wife hit me with a skillet because I done used up all my Friday pay. And,
She'll
and
do that.
so that, that right there was the college level education.
Yeah.
You don't know what you were being educated for, but it it stayed right now. So I'm talking about 1950s, and it's still with me.
Yeah.
It's part of my growing up. Like when I see people do the blues who don't let themselves go,
Mm.
it's like trying to blindfold a cat. Somebody gonna get scratched, you know.
Yes.
Somebody gonna get messed up. This is not gonna turn out right. You are supposed to expose the inner depths of yourself to sing these songs.
That's why I was saying, yeah, you have to, for me, I have to find something in my life where that was the case. That's what I'm singing about.
Yeah.
And, we've all had terrible things happen in our life. And one of the things that I like to tell people is, there's treasure in every tragedy. There's
Oh, yeah.
treasure there. And if you go a little bit deeper and you stop calling it something terrible that happened in your life and you allow it to like inform you, there's some huge blessing in there for you too. It's not just, something terrible. There's something good in there too. We've all had those things happen in our lives. And what hurts people is that they keep pressing on the guilt, the shame, the blame.
Right.
And so that's what we're all about in Healing with the Blues, is about relieving people from that. We need that grief relief. We need to be able to let it go and be happy again and joyful and find that joy that's buried under there,
Yeah.
because it's there.
Well, if you're here to talk about something you went through, it
Hmm.
didn't hurt you.
That's right.
You might be able to talk about, but if it hurt you, you wouldn't be here.
That's right. And if you can't talk about it, that's a good reason to
And
come and
that's
get
the
some
difference.
healing done.
That's the difference between
Hmm.
personalizing your pain and teaching about your pain.
Hmm.
Personalize your pain and you're doing self-destruction.
Yeah.
When you can talk to people about it, in like you were saying, that's when everybody starts realizing, yeah, I had that same, yeah, I went
Hmm.
through, and then all
Yep.
of a sudden you have this commonality, and then that power circle starts. I call it the
Yeah.
swirl. You get in the swirl,
I love that. The
and you
swirl.
get in there, and it's power. It's just all power. It doesn't hurt you because you can step out of it anytime you want to. But once you're in there, once that swirl starts, you're in a pool of truth. You know.
It's interesting that you use that term, because I often talk to people about being on a merry-go-round, those very dangerous ones that they don't have in playgrounds anymore. Those ones that will kill you.
Yeah, no, that's
Remember those ones where the kid would run along the outside and get it going
yeah,
really
yeah,
fast?
I got,
And
I
if you're
got
sitting
some
on the edge of that merry-go-round, you're going to get real dizzy. But the
and fall off.
closer you move to the center, where source is with a capital S,
Yeah,
no dizziness, and you can watch everything happen around you
yeah,
and remain in that stillness. And it doesn't affect you the same. It actually shows you more about yourself and about your relationship to source.
yes,
And that's a beautiful thing right there.
yeah,
Tony, thank you so much for the time that you gave me today. I'm so grateful.
yeah. Well, you only asked me one question.
Well, I kind of asked you too, but that's okay. That's why I tell people it's going to be short. I'm only going to ask you two questions, so it's going to be easy.
Well, you get some more. Like they say, we need some more tape to record this stuff.
Yes,
Back in the day, you
that's
always
right.
run out of tape. Go to the store and get some more tape.
So if people want to get in touch with you, how would they do that? How would they find you?
The easiest way is on Facebook.
Okay.
I um that would be the easiest.
And you'll see bright colors. It's not a picture of you, it's a painting of yours. I think that is your icon on there. So you'll see a very brightly colored painting as
Yeah,
his icon there. And to me, there's only one Tony Brown, and
yeah.
that's you.
To me, there's a whole bunch of them. I've been mistaken
I
for all of them.
know.
I've gone in a hotel room and got really good hotel rooms. And sometimes they say, nope, get him out of here. He can't stay here. There's a
Well,
bunch of
thanks
them.
again, Tony. I
I
appreciate
love
it.
you. Take
Love you
care.
too.
Tell my brother I
Stay
love
right
him.
there. I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay.